What's poppin', everybody? Back at it, Monday Night Football. This is the halfway point of the regular season. Can you guys believe that? Because I actually cannot whatsoever. After this week, that's it. Then it's week 10 and 18 weeks regular season, as we all know. That is the end of it all. So, boys, let's not get to a point where we're taking football for granted already. I know that we all love football. We all wait all year for it. And we're already at the halfway freaking point. It's November. And sooner than later, we're going to be upset that football is over. So let's cash some bets. Let's do it that way. Yesterday, relatively tough day. It was a very small net loser of like 2 units. None of the big ones came through. Some of the long shots, which never count on them coming through. But this is the first week in a couple of weeks. He didn't even hit one, which is annoying. We needed JSN for a tutty. He didn't get in. We needed any of the first touchdowns that didn't come through. Slid Thursday, though, still up on the week. So love to see that. But what are you going to do, boys? It was an annoying one because the game lines are what killed us. The props on Sunday actually were great. If you guys only bet the props from the stream Sunday, it was great. But the game lines from the best bets, we lost the over in Pittsburgh that somehow had a pulse despite how ugly that was, but didn't come through. The total in Washington, that one was dead from the get-go. The under, market told me screw myself, and that is what it is there. And then the over in Kansas City, Buffalo, if they made that field goal at the end there, though they probably should have punted realistically. So what are you going to do? That would have cashed us the over. But that one, I actually don't hate the reads on any of them, except for the Commanders read. That was probably just a bad one. But the other bets that I took, I actually don't think were like terrible process. We got good numbers on 2 of those 3. They just didn't get through, which is all in the game. We're betting on some high totals. You do need some big things to happen, but got the promos out, so we're good to go on that front. Now it's time to start betting. So Cardinals, Cowboys. I have 2 props that I locked in on Thursday already that I talked about. I tweeted out on Thursday from the BetSmart account, as well as made the short form video that I always do on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button because I always drop player props from Pick the Odds on Friday. One of them moved positively, one of them moved negatively. So we're going to dive into those in a second. But let's just talk holistic game. So, of course, Cowboys, one of the worst defenses in football, but that offense is as fun as can be. Cardinals 2-5, but I like looking at the Cardinals and peeling back the curtain a bit because I was a preseason backer of Arizona to have success this year. But let's see. Of course, they barely lose to Green Bay, which at this point, Green Bay. What's up, Magnifico? Yeah, bro. Ty in his NBA shit is awesome. Glad that you is able to help you guys connect and you can follow his channel. He loves the NBA. That's his stuff. But he's gonna come on with us still Thursdays for NFL always. So as you see, they barely lose to Green Bay, barely lose to Indianapolis. With of course, we're talking Brissett, as we know. Barely lose to Seattle. Lose to San Francisco, beat Carolina, beat the Saints. So this Cardinals team, despite their problems, despite their issues, we know that they lost to Tennessee on that crazy fumble. They lost to the that was after the DeMarcado dropping the football. But long story short, the Cardinals are definitely better than their 2-5 record. And now that we have Jacoby Brissett going, market knows this is all priced in. What we've learned realistically is that the market really just values Brissett at about 1 to 1.5 points. This was, and give me 1 second. This was 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. We'll pull up the odds right now so we can see how the market has moved. This was Dallas -2. Then it was even as low as 1.5. That's like look ahead. If you scroll back later in the week, it was 2. It was 2.5, 2.5. Even got to 1.5 at some points about a couple of days ago. And then the official Murray is out news comes in, and we saw some 4.5s. They got snatched up immediately, sitting 3.5. So from that, you can reasonably conclude that Jacoby Brissett, according to the market, is 1.5 points worse than Kyler Murray. Now, here you have an opportunity as like a bettor to fade the market and disagree with the market, where you think either he's not that much of a downgrade, where hint, I actually don't believe that Brissett is even a full 1.5 worse, probably 8 points, but Kyler Murray is a very low bar. Or you can think that the market hasn't or is correct and hasn't moved enough, and you think that Brissett should be like a 4-point swing. Though I think, of course, to further the market, that's definitely probably not it as we've seen so far this season. Um, then the Dallas front, everything looks good realistically. CD's obviously back in action. The Cowboys at home are nice. We know they put up points like it's nobody's business, but we know that the defense is bad. So on stream Wednesday, pre the Murray news, I was looking at this under at 54. At this point, obviously 53.5 being a crazy high total. We've seen some of the higher total games this week kind of float around the under, though they're all close. And to get to a 53-point total in the NFL, like everything has to go right. Like fumbles are going to kill those I should say, any like longer time on the ground spent where like the ground game was just dominating. Those are going to get to the total and help that go under. Points have to come in bunches, but with the Dallas Cowboys offense and their defense, it's probably a safe bet to assume that the points will actually end up coming in bunches. So let's dive into some props. We'll take a look at the EV screen first. Second, but we'll talk about two props that I like that I locked in already. This one is the one I got negative value on. So I actually faded Javonte Williams in his receptions. I bet under 2.5 at plus 140. That was at 365. Now it has moved, but the Jaden Blue news just came out where he's a healthy, inactive Jaden Blue. So he is not in the game. But with that being said, still at 140 is the best price in market, but the over is getting some love here. And it makes sense why. Like Javonte in the passing game, overall 11% target share, but those numbers are a bit inflated because there was a lot of time with CD missing. But Fergie and Pickens are taking the top. CD, of course, will be taking over Ferguson. And Javonte's going to be on the field so often. Like Miles Sanders, only 8 targets on the year. He is utilizing the passing game. But at plus 140 for a hit rate of 50% to get that plus money in this matchup that yes could be anticipated high scoring, but that could definitely be moving the ball down the field. I like this under for Javonte Williams receptions, even at current market. I still think it's worthwhile at 2.5 at Novig. And the other one that I like as well here is George Pickens over receptions. So I bet this at plus 105. Currently, it is, we want receptions, not receiving yards, 4.5 minus 112 at FanDuel. So definitely some EV there. Against the receivers so far this year, the Cardinals have done a pretty solid job overall. But Pickens, man, I know that CD's back, and he has taken a backseat to CD, even in this Washington game where they put up 44, only 4 receptions, despite having crazy amount of yards against the Broncos, where they did try to deploy like a situation where they had Surtain on him and then bracketed CD, but then Surtain got banged up for a bit. Still absolutely dominated. But then those games without CD obviously put on a hell of a performance. I think that Pickens is still alive, absolutely, to just be this like animal dog type player and continue to turn up here. Javonte 70 plus rushing, Pickens 50 plus receiving, and Brissett 250 passing, plus 600 with a 25% boost. I honestly love that. I think that's a great look. I think the offenses are going to be gunslinging, like undeniably. Not a hot take here, based on the total, based on where the market is set. But I don't think that anything's going to change there. And speaking of boosts, let me take a quick check and see what we have live and available right now for us to take advantage of at DK and FanDuel. And of course, we're going to be betting first touchdowns like we always do. We did not hit a first touchdown this week, even with Thursday, with a massive day, which, again, I don't expect that to happen by any means. But with that being said, we've been killing the first touchdowns this year. So definitely want to see if you can get one tonight. Let's see what we got for a boost. We got a 10% boost on a 2+ leg bet. I love this, even though they're only giving me $10 max bets. I love that they're only doing 2 legs. I love to throw that on a 2-leg alt. That's all we're getting from DK here. Let's check FanDuel. Let's see what boost we're getting here from the good folks at FanDuel. NFL, any jackpot tonight? Only a live boost for me in New York from FanDuel. So not a ton of boosts out there. Only one realistically, but we'll make do. We'll find some straight. So even at 112 here at FanDuel, I love Pickens over receptions, and still with plus 123 for Javonte Williams under receptions. Those are 2 bets that I like there. So let's look at some EV and see if we could find anything that pops up at this point to lock in this close to game time here. These are all props. We'll look at some game lines in a second here. Javonte Williams over rushing attempts at Fanatics. Got some DVIGs. I want to add some FanDuel to this, honestly. Optional some Circa as well. And let's see if we're changing out. Have also a minimum percentage here of oh, not minimum Kelly. I have a filter, minimum EV of 1%. So I don't want to see anything under 1%. So we could be missing out on some things. Of course, just one game tonight, so we're not going to see this lit up. But at this point now, the market has flipped for where the value is. When I bet the Pickens, I had 6.4% EV at plus 105 on the over. Now the under actually has EV at MGM at 115. So I could theoretically arb out, and this is another great reason why, betting earlier in the week, especially when you do have EV and you could find an edge, because I could just arb out of this and lock myself in at some profit if I really wanted to. Um, that being said, though, ball knowledge and what I already bet, Pickens is going over this number, though, even with the EV here. Fading the current EV based on what I had past EV. So if you want to ride with me, then we ride the over. And won't say ignore this EV because price rules everything. So I would not be offended if you end up fading and taking this under with the expected value there, 3.9%. But when I bet the over, there were 6.4% on the over. That completions at Profit X over 25.5. Interesting. I already love this. Michael Wilson under 2.5 receptions. I don't care how good the matchup is. And as we see, it's great, as we know, against Cowboys receivers this year. Let's take a look at the receptions overall against Dallas from the receiver position. Sutton actually held under, but we know Bo Nix is dog. Detroit Franklin was the dog there. Commies all went under, but that was just such an ugly game. And the yards are really where they rack it up over the receptions, realistically. But long story short, Michael Wilson just does not have as big of a role in this offense as I'd like. And as you see here, yards 31st overall in per game and 2 wide receivers. But with Jacoby Brissett, we have to factor that in because Kyler Murray does, scramble a bit more often, does honestly take away some good passing opportunities as well. Wilson, though, seeing an uptick with Brissett. So maybe this is giving me a bit of a pause here, but still a guy who is third in target share, only 11.7%. And something I want to mention about the Cardinals as well is, yes, they've had a tough time running the ball all year long, and we can, show that by looking at their, RB room. Obviously, Benson was hurt. I think did Carter get hurt also? Let's look at the injuries here. Yeah, Benson, obviously IR. James Conner, of course. Let's see. I know there's some other guys here, but I saw Bam Knight getting some love in the market, but long story short, the Cardinals this offseason, they were built to run the ball. They built their team up to be this more dominant on the ground rushing attack, but they had a lot of injuries to their backfield, as we saw, and also a lot of injuries to their offensive line. Dallas's run D is still just as bad. Let's pull up a running back and dive in to showcase that a bit. Rush yards against. We have Dobbins turned up on them. RJ Harvey did as well. Bill didn't get there against the Washington, but again, Washington's run game is absolutely broken. And we're not going to talk about Jaden Daniels right now because you guys know I'm a Commander fan, that I'm upset, but that's a conversation for another day. DAL absolutely destroyed them. Josh Jacobs destroyed. Breece Hall destroyed. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the Cards go back to a rush heavy approach because that's what they want to be anyway. Brissett does give them more of a viability down the field. Zay Jones receiving yard under, a Dak over rushing yards, 7.5 minus 105, 2.16%. Let's take a look at this one in a bit more detail. FanDuel's at 118, Penny's at 128. I actually like this a lot, a lot. Let's pull up MGM, make sure that number's still available. This actually looks really good. For a 2.4% EV prop, this looks honestly great. Yeah, Dak over rushing yards, over 7.5 minus 105. Book it, put it in the slip, put it in the adding it to the tracker. I'm betting this in 1 second here. So beautiful. Dak over 7.5 rushing yards. Let me write that down. Perfect. Then let me get ready to bet that because I'm in on Dak over rushing yards. We saw the EV. It's available. Go back here to Pinnacle, FanDuel. Minus 128 at Penny, 750 limits. Minus 118 at FanDuel. We're getting a 105. So not like it's massive, as we know, with just a I shouldn't say just, but with a worst case scenario, an average of 2.38% expected value on the over. So let's boom, beautiful. Love that. Let's keep ripping here. Let's keep ripping. Definitely want to take a look at the first touchdowns as always, but I got to see some of the pricing. I think they might be a little bit, off. Just not like off, but like ugly from a perspective where like they're going to be hard to bet because of how like juiced they're going to be. Rushing yards. Just give me the over under, man. I hate these books in there. Display is rushing yards. Dak Prescott. No, I accidentally clicked Brissett. Dak Prescott. Okay. We're bet and we're in. Beautiful. All right. So we have completions as well over. We see that at two shops. Marv receptions under at Novik, under 3.5. So that's definitely an alternate line. Then there's Zay Jones. So very interesting. Let's dive into Marvin a bit more. Jacoby Brissett is great for Marvin Harrison. I have to say it. We'll look at the numbers with Brissett and kind of see what I'm saying here. 56.5 has not come to the that conclusion just yet. Hasn't shown just yet. Targets are low. I mean, 6 targets, 2 targets, even in a game where he was against his old team. Of course, you have McBride, who is like the weapon one. But this is a picture perfect matchup, and you're getting 56.5 yards. Looks to be about like 58.5. Looks to be like the baseline, quote unquote. You can get that at 112 at FanDuel. Only 43% on the season. Brissett hasn't done him any favors, but this is again like a picture perfect matchup. The Colts do a great job of stopping top tier weapons or their best weapon of their team. And the Packers just overall have a very good defense. Is Greg Dortch first tutty a bridge too far? Dude, not at all. Not at all. We're gonna look at some first tutties, but a Dortch at 40-1, I love. Looking at again the target share here, Dortch very underneath kind of guy, does things after the catch, but still lower in this pecking order. But I do think this offense can have more success. And looking at Dortch, I mean, not so great against Indy and against Green Bay. Target share with Brissett, very low. 3 targets, 2 targets, generally from 46 and 42. And if you want to see where those targets went to, I mean, you could look at no further than Trey McBride here, getting 11 targets and 13 targets. And then Zay Jones also has been getting some love here, looking at the target share. Here, 8 targets in that Colts game and just 2 against the Packers, who we know have a very good pass defense, or very good at defending the pass, I should say, because every defense is base realistically. But let's look at some first touchdowns now. We're gonna obviously bet some. We're gonna see where we can find some like ladder spots as well. Let's go to the game. Cardinals. And then you see if you're late, we locked in some Pickens over receptions and Dak over rushing yards, 7.5, 4.5 for Pickens. Player props, first touchdown score. So Javonte, chalk of the chalk, completely unsurprising. Trey McBride at 950. We'll have to check the liquidity there, but like that's always going to be appealing when you get the best receiving option for a team. With that being said, we know that we know he's relatively allergic to the end zone. Trey McBride, that this year has picked it up actually. 2-piece in the last game, 4 total touchdowns. So you look at 2024, already surpassed that total, and he's at the halfway point for himself here. Or just the McBride. CD at 809 is going to be interesting as well. Pickens at 10-1 is also piquing my interest. I don't know if I'm just too high on Pickens. Like, we know that with CD, he gets peppered, and Pickens is kind of like the lone man out to a degree here. But like, I don't know, man. I think Pickens is so freaking good, and that's not a hot take by any means. 9-1 FanDuel. Let's confirm if this 10-1's there because this is shortlisted, but we'll be looking at everybody. Player props. First TD. Yep, Pickens is still 10-1 at DK. I'm looking at that quickly. Right, Marvin 11-1 is also interesting with this terrible pass D. Michael Wilson 20-1. Like, I see why, though. I'm like pretty anti. Like Zay Jones at 31-1. I'm more interested in. I'm gonna new tab this and share this in Ted. Let's dive in a bit more to Zay. 2025. I don't need first touchdown. Let's look at reception yards, receiving yards. Target share 8-2. 8 against the Colts defense. That does funnel to more guys lower down the line. 17 total targets on the year for Zay. Michael Wilson, 27. But I think this might be too low for Zay. We could look at some any times as well, but um, not having a jackpot bonus is also really annoying because especially DK's one with like longest reception, because like Zay would definitely be in that conversation. Um, I'm interested in Zay Jones at 31-1, but we gotta check the liquidity at profit because I mean it's 30-1 at FanDuel, 30-1 at DraftKings. So this one is available in a lot of places. Now we have like the massive chalk. This could very easily just be like a massive chalk game. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, or I'm sure anybody whatsoever, if Javonte walks in the first touchdown or CD just catches the first touchdown. Turpin 28-1. I don't know if I love that. Brissett 28-1, but Dortch 4,800. 40-1 at FanDuel and DraftKings. Dortch is definitely intriguing. Definitely intriguing. Great after the catch, and that could be a difference maker there. Though he hasn't really broken up a bunch of things lately. Dak, no. Shoemaker, Ryan, Flanoy, get those away from me. We're too deep on the board here. Jaden Blue's not even playing, and of course, Kalshi is the one who's going to keep that market up for not Jaden Blue. Well, he's not playing there. So we have some options here. McBride is interesting. I'm going to go to DraftKings quickly. Pickens just went down to 950, so I'm going to miss the boat on our boy Georgie because 10-1 was kind of the cap there. Bam Knight's also 9-1. So this is just DraftKings just for a quick look at like just to get an understanding of where the market should be at. Defensive special teams, these are better than even Dortch at 35-1, which we have a 40-1. I don't think we need to go so far down the board. I think we would not be surprised if this is a chalky first touchdown game, but I'm definitely going to be bet one on both sides because I think that both teams can score. I want to get involved in Pickens, though. If that 10-1 is nowhere else, though, yeah, so maybe the boat was missed. Prices rule everything. I don't care if Pickens scores the first touchdown. If it's bet odds, then I'm not going to lose sleep over not making that kind of bet here. Bam Knight, I could see it because he's been priced. Let's go to his touchdown odds. I want to see because I saw some EV for it yesterday on PTO on stream. It was flashing the whole time, but I was reluctant to bet it just because of where the rest of the market was. But it was 165. Now we're seeing 135. So I should have bet that. That being said, now I am a bit more interested in betting it straight today, even at worse prices than like a parlay, just because I think that would be fun. And let's also do what we always do for prime time. I want to look up FanDuel and DraftKings, and we're going to look at some other fun markets like most rushing yards, most receiving yards. FanDuel often always has the better prices, but I also believe them to be like sharper in those markets. So I do want to do like a bit of a comparison. Let me find a bet that I could get FanDuel up as well. All right, here we go. DraftKings. Let's look at passing props. I'm curious most passing yards, what they're pricing them at. Head-to-head. Let's see. They have the most passing yards of the game. I know FanDuel does. So we could just look at their base passing yards. That getting a 268 to 238 there. But let's look at rushing and receiving because this is where CDs, of course, are going to be chalk. But we can maybe find some value between both of these books. CD 130. And I'll get FanDuel going as well. I want to look at FanDuel and then compare it back, actually. So let's see. Cardinals, Cowboys passing props. Most passing yards, Dak, big favorite, 146. Obviously, a big discrepancy on the market there. Receiving props. Where is most receiving yards? There we go. CD 160, McBride 330, Pickens 350. Wilson 30-1, Ferguson, Marv, Zay Jones 35-1. Like the thing is, like as much as I do want to take something fun like this, like the truth of the matter is, it's a perfect matchup for Pickens and Lamb also. Like I don't know if this is a game where again, like even with the first touchdown, where we're gonna see some crazy shit with like a backup tight end or a lower guy down the totem pole. Like this does have the makings for like the usual suspects to turn up here. Let's look at most rushing yards though. Javonte being the chalk with Bam at 180. Now, this is obviously not going to happen. I want to look at DraftKings as well here. I have some interest in Bam Knight because I think let's do some reporting looking as well. Let's look at I'm going to pull up Twitter as well in just a second here because I want to see if there's any reports on like Bam Knight versus Michael Carter in the run game, though like Bam Knight's of course the finalist. I mean the favorite here. Bam Knight has 29 touches and 80% of the Cardinals' goal to go rush attempts. We know that for a potential touchdown that we're interested in. 71 total yards is where he's at, and it's of course a good matchup here. Let's see the prices on most rush yards because Bam Knight 175 on DraftKings, 180 at FanDuel. Carter is 12 to 1, 10 to 1 on DraftKings. So FanDuel's the only place to bet these really. Of course, we're not going deep down the board with Dak Brissett, Malik Davis, or CeeDee Lamb. I think Bam Knight's an interesting leg for a parlay, and I think he could be closer to even money than this is as well. So Bam Knight's been getting a lot of love in the market. I'm definitely going to cook him up for a touchdown, and he's going to be in a parlay. They're only going to bet one parlay because I have only one boost, so we're not going to get crazy and bet parlays that aren't going to be EV without boosts. Maybe one if we do want to go a bit crazy here, but we can go for some alternate lines. Something that I like doing, let's go back to the prop screen actually. Like what is a Bam Knight 2 touchdown prop? What could that be? B365 at 10 to 1 is interesting. FanDuel at 8 to 1, not nearly as sexy, but I'm going to add that to slip. What do we have already? The over, that was just for show. We don't actually want to bet the over at this point in the market. This is interesting. I mean, let's go to red zone rush attempts 2, 3, 2. Over on the course of the season, even with how the season went from the get-go, Connor, Carter, Benson, and yes, the Cowboys pass defense are where they allow overall touchdowns, but having people catch the ball in the end zone, as dumb as this might sound, is obviously like difficult and high variance. Like the odds are that they're probably going to catch it, closer and then allow opportunities for some rushing attempts here. Michael Carter still with 4 overall, but I think a Bam Knight touchdown is definitely worth betting straight. We saw it flash all day long yesterday on Pick the Odds, but we didn't end up betting it. But I think now, considering the way the market has gone, even though some of the value has been sucked out from the price, that it was a tell that Bam is going to get in. So Carter in his 4 games here, 1 red zone rush attempt each game. Cardinals do have a higher pass rate, but let's pull up FT on here. Let's dive into some of the splits now, confirming the difference between Brissett and Murray for the obvious reasons here. All right, Stats Hub, rushing, Arizona, and we'll look at weeks 7 and 8. Though we did see some Kyler, right? No, okay, we're good. Rushing. Overall attempts, Bam Knight 14-2, Michael Carter's 7. Red zone as well, 2 for Bam, 1 for Michael Carter. It's even in the receiving game where the action has been. So Trey McBride, unsurprisingly, dominating the share there. Was it week 6? No, Kyler was playing week 6, right? No, it was not. Okay, it's week 6. That's what we need to say. Gotcha. Now we can do a bit better here. 25-16, so not that crazy. Still 2 goal line targets. Rush attempts, 1 goal line touchdown, 5 overall goal line carries to Bam Knight. And we're back to the receiving game here. Targets overall, Trey McBride, of course, dominating. Zay Jones, again, getting the next best there with Michael Wilson. So Zay Jones down the field, I think is definitely worth it. Let's go back to FanDuel here quickly. Um, there is a market now to record a 20, 30 plus receiving yard prop. They do it for not all games, but a primetime game like tonight, they have it. Let's see what it is. Player to record 10 plus yard reception. Okay, so this is chalk to oblivion. Scored a 15-yard reception. So Jones is 130, even though his receiving prop isn't that high, or his longest reception prop isn't. 30-yard reception, CD Pickens, Zay Jones 390. I was hoping for a bit better. That was my first time looking at this, but I think Zay Jones down the field is good. Looking at some deep receiving stuff for tonight as well. 20 plus yard targets down the field. Marv, there's Zay Jones, and this is again with just Brissett filtered in. And overall usage here, routes run or route percentage here. McBride, Wilson, number 2. Zay Jones still below it, but still has a higher target share. So I've been burnt by Michael Wilson twice already this year. I think he kind of stinks, and the season he's been putting on is backing that up, and it's not being a hot take. Zay Jones is doing much more with his opportunities here. So let's go back to this tab, and let's look at some Zay stuff. Zay Jones. Receiving yards, 24.5 is the best price of FanDuel. 19.5. Any takers? FanDuel 122, 116 Profit X, 20.5 Profit X as well. 112. In this matchup, like he has been flying over. I don't think that, like, of course, everything that goes up must come down, and like this could probably be square, but I don't think that Zay Jones, a kind of proven guy, like against this perfect matchup, like I don't think this is going to be the situation where he just goes around and stinks. The touchdown is 550. Obviously, touchdown is like asking for a lot. Or is he getting end zone targets? Where is it? Base. There we go. It's all McBride and Marv. So he hasn't gotten an end zone target. But he's averaging more receptions and targets than Marv. Now, it could just be like a Marv come back to life game. 5-1 is interesting. What was his first touchdown again? Because I'm interested in Zay Jones. I think we're going a bit crazy. I think I'm locking in Zay for a first, and we'll go from there for the rest of the slip. So it was crazy, right? 31-1 Profit X. If there's enough liquidity there. 30-1 FanDuel. But obviously, best price of Profit X has liquidity, $86. So you're better off just betting it. If you want to take that in market, boys, please do. But I'm betting that right now. I'd rather go first touchdown. I'm curious what first team touchdown is. So normally there isn't worth it to bet that based on the odds, but like I'm just curious. $14-1. Yeah, call me greedy, but I think there's definitely more value in the 30-1 first touchdown here. Boom. Boom. First touchdown, Zay Jones. That's what I'm going with for the Cardinal side. We'll get the Cowboy going. See if I can get Pickens again at 10-1, but it looks like that ship has unfortunately sailed. But Zay Jones, 30-1 first touchdown. That is our Arizona Cardinal, and I do think he's still worth parlaying as well. Okay, locked and loaded. All right, so there's our Cardinal. First tutty. Zay Jones, beautiful. Again, we have that DraftKings boost. I'm interested in getting a bit crazy with it. I still love. Let's go back to this interface. I still love, and I'm interested in Bam Knight Tutty. Bam, that's ready here. Beautiful. I filter just to overs, not because we're square, just because a lot to look at there with the overs and unders. Touchdowns. 135, best price at DK. FanDuel's at 120. Novig at 130. This is worth betting straight, honestly. Let's confirm the pricing here. 125. It's gone. Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. All in the game. We were a step too slow there. At 125, I wouldn't bet it straight, but again, I do want to build a lay. We're gonna have to check the prices manually on my phone here. DraftKings, again, the only book where I do have a boost. That being a 2+ leg parlay, minimum odds of 3-1, max bet 10. So I do want to win this, honestly. Like, of course, I want to win every bet, but sometimes like I'm betting some stuff that's for value, even though the implied of winning is low. But in a situation like this for today, nah, I want blood. I want a W there. So we're starting with Bam Knight first and foremost. Then I'm into Pickens. So let's add George. Let's see unless there's any big line movement here. But I'm a Pickens guy today. From a reception standpoint, I know the number seems a bit low, but this is kind of where his number does sit. Realistically, the 4.5 range, even without CD, it's 112. What's it at DraftKings? It's 125. But we have the boost and nothing at FanDuel, so I'm going to add it here. So currently, anytime, Bam Knight 125, receiving props, receptions, George Pickens over 4.5. I'm seeing if they're doing any scam shit with their receptions. Nope, they have the 5+ and over 4.5 the same price. So that's plus 290. So regardless, need to get some more legs in. And I'm going with Zay Jones. Like we already know where we have things that we liked. We've found them all together on stream. And I'm interested. Let's see what we can get for some alternates. Is there a 15+? No, there's not. I'm guessing it's 20+ only on DK. But I think I'd rather go alternate. No, there is a 15+ over 14.5. It's 169, but because we're going for brings it to 5-1 with the boost 550. I love getting greedy and trying to get 10-1 because we're betting some like fun boosts, but I'm done. Lock that in 550. Bam Knight anytime tutty. Pickens over 4.5 receptions. Zay Jones 15+ receiving yards. I think you can actually honestly alt Jones to like 30+ and like go the other way, but I'm going with this right here. I locked it in. So Bam Knight anytime. Zay Jones 15+ receiving. Pickens over 4.5 receiving yards. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go back to first tutty real quick because again, depending on the price of CD that we can reasonably get, like 750 being the best that's just too low for me, man. Unfortunately, though I think he does hit it. It's like not this past week, but 2 weeks ago when we were talking on stream with the Rashee Rice in his game back. It's like or against the Commanders, I was like, I'm telling you, Rashee Rice is scoring, even though he didn't end up scoring first. He just got tackled at the 1, I think it was, maybe the 2. I was like, I don't care the price, but it's not getting in there. Mr. Grapefruit, I'm Team Zay. I like Zay today. I could be off. I could be wrong. We were looking at the numbers. I came into this game just for context without really having like preconceived thoughts of what I'm telling you. I'm doing this process currently like live with you to find what we like. Normally, I do have some like thoughts for this game particularly. I didn't really dive in, but from what I'm seeing, I'm Team Zay tonight. Could be wrong, brother. If you bet Wilson, best of luck. But I'm Team Zay tonight. I think that probably some bias here, but I do think that Michael Wilson is like not a great football player. Zay Jones, I think at this point, even with the longevity, I'm Team Zay tonight. Unfortunately, anytime, bro. I appreciate you. Also, guys, comments are always open, so please feel free to drop some cues here. I know again, like look at receiving yard lines. Benefiting from the big play. Don't get me wrong, a 43-yarder or a 24-yarder. But again, target share 2-5. Wilson we looked at it was like 5. Where is he? And don't get me wrong, I also think that the blame, realistically, if Wilson is bad, is more so due to Kyler Murray. I'm so anti-Kyler, always been anti-Kyler. Like his line is 27.5. So Zay's at say 20.5. Neither are priced in like the same in like a much higher realm, but then again, 5 targets, 4 targets. So you can say consistency for Wilson, but consistently getting 4 targets. I think Zay has more upside. Could be wrong. Been wrong before. Can definitely will end up being wrong again at times. But Michael Wilson, it is. I didn't realize I wouldn't switch my screen, boys. That's on me. Looking at the prices, Michael Wilson, it is. Let's see if any EV popped up since we've been talking here, because any last minute moves like this could be helpful. So, am I saved for props? Let me get my filters reworked again. I want FanDuel. I want Circa, if possible, Bookmaker. That all looks good. Minimum EV 7%. That's good. So again, that Pickens under is still showing some value because at this point, that's where it's at. But when I bet Pickens earlier in the week, I had the EV to the over, and there's more EV. So I'm dying on that hill. The Marv receptions under, I think, is a bit crazy. CD under 6.5, I actually don't hate. Fergie with some 2.2% at Profit X. Let's look at this one. Though I like to deviate from these exchanges a bit as well. I want that insight. Not showing me the math here on Fergie. Probably because there's a low liquidity, which is essential. Zay Jones over 1.5 receptions. Honestly, didn't even think to look in the rec market, but this is kind of telling me all I need to know. Let's see how much liquidity there is. If there's over $500, I'll call this a play because I want to make sure I'm giving out stuff that's widely available. Oh yeah, there's 1,100 bones here. I'm in. I'm taking some of that. Give me Zay Jones over 1.5 catches. I'm doubling down on being in on Zay Jones. Should say I'm doubling down because I bet him in a parlay. So gotta hold the horses there. We are seeing 1.89% EV. So with Quarter Kelly, the bet size would be at a worst case, 63%, or excuse me, 0.63%. So under 1% of your bankroll. Let's do a quick, just to be sure here. 115 at Novik, 122. I like this. I'm in on Zay Jones. We've talked about it. I've said it a few times. That's not changing here. Let me log into my profit and take some of that. Oh, I'm not logged in. What's going on here? What's going on here? There we go. Sending me a code. 477. Okay. Boom. Still need a Cowboys first touchdown. Trust me, I'm well aware. Has not lost on me that we still want to bet a Dallas Cowboy to score the first touchdown. We'll find that, and we use the DraftKings boost already. No FanDuel boost. Favorite plays are, I'll read through them that we've bet already. George Pickens over 4.5 receptions. Zay Jones over 1.5 receptions. Donovan Knight anytime tutty. Zay Jones first tutty. Dak over 7.5 rushing yards. Bet that all so far. Not going to build a parlay without a boost. It's just not worth it. Don't have any substantial edges to find there. So we'll go back to the first touchdowns here. No insights. What I'm looking for right here. I also hasn't looked at EV from the game lines. Actually, I'm going to do that first because the first touchdown we already know we kind of like. But from game lines, we haven't seen what has popped up. I want to check out these filters again. Okay. 3 results make sense. This is all for all week, nothing for tonight, which of course makes sense for no derivative markets at this point with an hour, 20 minutes realistically till game time for there to be anything flashing right this second. So no shock. Let's continue to monitor the EV for props, and then let's go find a first touchdown for the Cowboys side. CD down to 740. Damn, so that was eaten up. Pickens down to 950. We missed that. But the Cowboys really is one of the top tier guys. I'm not laying it with Javonte. CD at 740, 750. What's FanDuel at? Not seeing odds. What's going on there? I also didn't realize FanDuel was down yesterday. I did realize because I was looking to try to find some bets during the game yesterday, or Yeah, during the games, I think it was the 4 o'clocks. It was a late no, it was late of the 1 o'clocks, and, like, the odds weren't showing up, and I thought that, I was just, like, user erroring, but FanDuel was bugging. Let me check my phone if it's not showing up on Outlier. Um, what is he? 600. So 7 to 1 at yeah, this isn't even true. This is 7 to 1. So it still is Novig, best price. Caesars. What's MGM? Is there even showing MGM? They're not. I'll check because they also have the second chance, which is nice. The second chance promo, because if it is the same odds, you might as well bet it there. So you do get a bonus bet back if it does not hit. But just see, CD is 725. So it's better. Yeah, it's a CD at MGM. That's the move with the second chance, 725. Not only is it the better price because the 750 doesn't exist, but you get that second chance opportunity. So give me CD Lamb first touchdown as well. It's always going to be chalk. If it's Pickens, I'll be tight only because I wanted him, but the odds literally moved in our slip before, which is annoying, but that's how it goes. Happens far too often, unfortunately, but that's just how it goes. Numbers are always moving. You got to be quick to the trigger. I wasn't, and a little bit of second guessing there coming to bite me in the ass. All right, so we already have a holistic viewpoint of this game. I think the total being this high, I think it is a tick high because, like I've said, there needs to be a pretty perfect game script to go over this total at this high in the NFL, especially when Arizona, even with Brissett and Ken Slingett, this is a team that wanted to run the football all year long. That was all off season long coming into the season. That was their goal, is to run the football, and they have done a horrible job, but injuries on the O-line to the running backs. So I could see this again. It's not at 54.5, which is like a key number of 54. Couldn't get one at Kalshi. Definitely don't feel strong enough to bet this. This 120 at ESPN is probably bettable, though this 118 at Novig we could see. This has gone to head just because that's so many points. So many points, but we could just see a freaking track meet. The alternate over 2K, but plus 118. But some more liquidity on the under at some of these worst prices. The 120 doesn't even exist. It's 122 or the 118. So that was snatched up. Don't think we're going to see like a snoozer, but again, getting to 55 points in the NFL is, as we know, really difficult. We've seen a lot of teams do it pretty well recently with some high scoring affairs and these games, getting to those big numbers. But I don't know. Dallas' defense though was abysmal, and Jacoby, we know, can ball still and can still play. So it's not too crazy, I guess. But let's look at CD stuff just because I have curiosity here. That's Pickens, which you've already looked at. Let's look at CD stuff because I am curious where they're showing for Lamb here. 80 receiving yards, which does check out because it's CD freaking Lamb. Touchdown is 108 at Kalshi. Even money, 105. So like no value on CD Tutty, even though he's probably going to score. We have his first, so we're in on that. We did see some value on the under reception, some EV. Let's see if it's still showing. Guess not to the market. 115, 105. Not seeing FanDuel again. I don't know what's going on here. If there's any insights here, Chatter Island, if you want to go some kicking points, this is just some fun stuff the Outlier has. If you also want to try Outlier for free, in the description, there is a link you can click and try that. And if you're watching on X, you can just click the link under the tweet with the live stream and, give Outlier a chance, 7-day free trial. Mac Wilson has failed to exceed 7.5 tackles and assists in 15 of his last 19 games. So going back to last year. Brissett fantasy scoring, no. Cardinals are 4-1 in their last 5 games for bottom 10 scoring defenses. Obviously, does not really matter based on the quarterback situation, though. Again, I do believe that Brissett is good. Jacoby Brissett has failed to exceed 7.5 first half rushing yards in 6 of the 7 starts. See, that to me is somewhat of an interesting tidbit, honestly. Let's pull up Jacoby stuff on the ground. I want to see what he's looked like in scramble situations and maybe even some design stuff. Very low likely, but let's look at his rushing. Let's put FTN quickly. Um, Run types. No, he's obviously not running power or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but has everything been just a scramble? Um, Scramble rate 55.6%. That seems high as hell. We could definitely verify whether or not that is high by looking at the average in the last 3 weeks for scramble percentage, but does that not seem like it would be high? Tyler Shook doesn't count. Tyrod Taylor, Aaron Rodgers. I guess I'm curious where that comes from in terms of pressures. Percentage of total rush attempts that were it's the percent of their rush attempts that were scrambled. So 55 is actually low for a guy like Jacoby. So he is getting a bit of like designage. It seems like I wish I had some had some like film to like look at quickly or some even like highlights just because I am curious. It does like seem familiar that like they would have like, fake handoff, like just have Jacoby run it. One play like that, of course, QB sneaks. We're looking at passing. I'm going to go to rushing again. Usage. Of course, playing the snaps. Non-quarterback opportunity share, no. We don't want that because we are a quarterback. We don't care about targets. He's not getting any targets. 4.5 touches per game, I guess. So that means on the ground solely. 17.3 attempts. So they are giving him attempts. So going back to Outlier here with his information in mind. Did we get Jacoby in here? We did. Let's look at some of the props just out of curiosity now. So what his rushing could be. So 34.5 passing attempts. Of course, expect to sling it. What are his rush yards? That's first quarter rush yards. 14.5. Okay, not like Dallas gets a ton of pressure. Could definitely see against some rushing design stuff. 1926. Quarterbacks against Dallas this year on the ground. Bo Nix did not do well. We know Bo Nix can run. Jaden Daniels basically pretty banged up. Obviously went under. Preston can get mobile. Didn't have to. Justin Fields, we know, can get mobile. Didn't have to. Jordan Love can get mobile. Of course, that was an overtime game that got a bit crazy. Love had to take some things into his own hands. If this game is a shootout, I think shootouts definitely potentially give some more opportunity for some, rushing stuff to transpire from quarterbacks. They're going to try to put the team on their back and get after it. So I'm not going to fade that, but that insight was interesting to me. Looking at some other insights. Lamb rushing yards. I mean, they could definitely give the ball to Lamb and let him do his thing. I wouldn't be surprised. Greg Dortch, first quarter. I don't really do any first quarter stuff. Yeah, we could bet under touchdown here. I'm definitely down 15-1. Let's see how much liquidity is on that. If you wanted to go deep down the board here at Profit X, minus 4,900, minus 338 at Novig. How much liquidity? A lot. A lot. Brevin Span Ford anytime touchdowns. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. First half TDs and stuff like that. No interest. Insights are fun to look at. Showing you some things that maybe you wouldn't catch your eye. I got to do some peeling back. Definitely can't just be betting solely on hit rates. And are there any injuries that we missed for Dallas? Diggs is out. Hooker. This defense is so bad. Phil Maffa's IR. Mingo is dog. Miles on the injury report again. Also, we know that what's his name? Jaden Blue was a healthy scratch. So no love for the Rook whatsoever. Actually, a lot of lack of love for the Rook because he gets the healthy scratch. And I haven't dove deep into Dallas stuff though, because there's more of the question marks and intrigue on the Cardinal side, as we're well aware of and we already been into. But I do want to just look at the last couple of weeks. Pickens only one game more played and 8 more targets. But again, give me all the Pickens. I know so much of his stuff comes on the crazy. He makes some of the craziest freaking catches. Like, it's so awesome. Ryan Flanoy, 8 targets, 4 receptions, 37 yards. Javonte, I have his under straight for receiving yards. For receptions. Starting to not, love that position, but I'm not going to get in or out. Just pointing that out there. They get a good price, but from game state, I don't love. But now rushing, I mean, attempts. Javante, the bell cow, we know. Jaden Blue not playing football today. Um, Ryan Flanoy, 42% of snaps, one attempt. Lepke, even the fullback. CD, we know can get involved. So maybe CD does get involved more on the ground without Jaden Blue. But I guess who's running the ball? Malik Davis, outside of Javante, of course. It's been a freaking dog. Interesting. And haven't looked at anything from Fergie. Again, at this point, definitely a bit too late to be adding, unless something like crazy EV pops up this late. But I am just curious on Ferguson stuff. Let's see, TDs 150. No, he gets peppered with targets, and look at that chart. He's been cooking. T's though against Dallas, they've done a good job. But who have they played? Kraft got there against Tyler Warren got there. So the big guys. The big-time TEs are the ones who are scoring against them, the ones who are very talented and do dominate some target share, like Kraft and Warren. So understandable that Fergie's priced the way that he is, 120, as low as that FanDuel. But the one thing that I think I want to wrap up with, it's going to be a bit of a donation, but I think it's a worthwhile one. I'm still interested in Bam Knight, and that 2+ touchdown was staring me in the face. I'm intrigued by a Bam Wilson. Where is a Bam Knight? Excuse me. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. Bam Knight, 2+ tutties, and maybe there's worth parlaying that with something fun. This is 135 back. If it's back, I'm playing this straight. I don't care if it's bounced back and forth. At 125, it's not worth it. 135, there's still value to me to play straight. We have it in the lay, but play it straight. No, unfortunately, it's 125. But 2+. If you play at 365, I would bet this 2+ straight at 10-1 and not even care about the rest of this donation I'm putting together here. That's a great price for him. We're going to load up FanDuel and DK and see what the odds are. Bam Knight 750 on DK, 8-1 on FanDuel. So it looks like FanDuel's probably where we're going to be betting this. And let's see. Back to Ferguson. Well, actually, I'm curious how FanDuel's pricing this. Let's see if their FanDuel's pricing this properly. I don't think this is going to happen, or I think I'm going to actually lock this in. But if the price flashes what I think it could, maybe we will. Rushing props. So we have Bam 2 tutties. What is Bam 2 tutties and most rushing yards? Yeah, they're correlating that way too much. Where it's not worth it. I was hoping maybe they didn't price that properly per se, and we could have snuck by a fun Bam Knight ladder there, but that's not worth it. But what's his rushing yards? It's 50. Let's just see what we do with that. Yeah, it's just criminal. That's not good enough. Let's Javante's. He's at 69.5. So let's do Bam 80+. This is some science. We always do some science here with some odds testing. I'm not shocked to see FanDuel, dripping yards, but 80+. So to be, or Javante's 70+. So even if we go 70+, 1190. Obviously, this has to still beat Javante for the most rushing yards. 12-13. I don't love that. But Bam Knight, 2 tutties. If you're on at 365, I think just bet that 10-1. Ignore the rest of this donation here. Fergie 120. If we're going straight chalk, 1363. That does seem low, honestly. Though it does make sense. CD here, even money. 13 flat. So we are getting proper pricing from FanDuel, at least to some degree, for this, but this is nowhere near sexy enough as I thought. I don't really love anybody for 2 tutties that I would mix in, if anything. This is, again, entirely for fun here. 2+ touchdowns, 54.70, and FanDuel, if we do it with Lamb, if we do 2+ here, that's 44-1. Obviously, it's a lot to go around. Cardinals past, he's been bad, very bad. What's Pickens 2+? 66.41 on FanDuel. Odds we lock any of this in is probably none. 66. 6 flat. So FanDuel's still best pricing with these. So I don't love that. So yeah, bet the 65. Just bet the BAM 2+, 10-1, and call it a day. But I do think, where is Pickens again? BAM Knight 2+ Pickens 1 is plus 1619. Like, that's just not enough for me. I want something a bit more intriguing that I think can hit. But this 17-1 now, that to me is sexy enough. So best price on DraftKings here. I'm locking this in. BAM Knight 2+ tutties and George Pickens anytime. So we end up getting our Pickens exposure. Of course, do not expect this bet to hit. It's a 17-1 bet. That is absolutely nutty, but I'm all for it. And I think it's worth a sprinkle at the odds, 17-1. I'm in. So that'll do it, boys. Let's run through everything that we've bet so far for tonight. Got game starting. We have Dak over 7.5 rushing yards. Zay Jones first touchdown score. Parlay of Bam Knight anytime. Zay Jones 15+ receiving yards, and George Pickens over 4.5 receptions, which I also like straight. George Pickens over 4.5 receptions. That's plus 550 with a DK boost. Keeping it simple there. Zay Jones over 1.5 receptions, minus 112 profit X. CD Lamb first touchdown score plus 725 on BetMGM. So, boys, I'll wrap it up. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate you all for watching on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Also, like the video. Helps the channel grow. Really appreciate it a ton if you like the stream. And hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on X, go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button at GoBetSmart. And make sure you press the like or the follow button on X. I'll be streaming Wednesday. As always, best bets with Jake. And good luck with your bets tonight. NBA, NHL, and, of course, Monday Night Football. Let's hit some slips. Let's have a finish with a positive week. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.